What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Welcome, everybody. I am your host, Love Coach Scott Catamas, and welcome to our Friday night edition of The Awakening World. So as we talk about awakening, we are ideally talking about ascension to a much higher level of consciousness. And that's what this show is dedicated to, providing tips, tools, practice, support for us all to lock hands, lock arms, and really evolve together. And tonight is going to be a really wonderful show. I've got 5 beautiful guests, all of whom I have so much love and respect for, who are going to share their tips, their tools, their practices for ascension. And we'll talk about what does ascension really mean. And we want to know what ascension means to you. So for those of you in the Zoom room, please pop in the chat box where you are geographically, because that's always fun for our guests to see. And also, what does ascension mean to you? How might you imagine it, experience it? Let's have a dialogue. Now, for those of you that are not in the Zoom room, I want to invite you to do so. Come join us. We've got a lot going on. And of course, we're out over 100, or as many as 100 Facebook groups and pages. Thank you, John and Summer Raymer and the Sign Network for making that happen. So if you're watching this on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube, come on into our Zoom room. It's really easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com. Whatever page you land on, you'll see a little bar down here that says register for the new season. And when you click on that, it's going to take you to our registration page. Did you know we do 3 shows every weekend? That's right, 3 shows every weekend. And we have all the people you see here, amazing guests. Of course, this is the show we're doing tonight. Tomorrow night, we are collaborating with Humanity's team. Steve Farrell, I just heard we might even get a little visit from Neil Donald Walsh, and it's going to be a really fun show. And then on Sunday, all about honoring our master teachers and learning about the influences of some of our favorite spiritual teachers, including Michael Beckwith, Temple Hayes, and bestselling author Jonathan Robinson. So there's an example of what takes place every weekend for us, and you can register and get the links to all of our shows for the entire rest of the year. You'll also get the links to next weekend's retreat. We're having our first Global Peace Tribe retreat, and we're going to live stream most of the retreat out to the world. So you don't want to miss out on that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Register, get the links, and join us. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about who we have with us. Once again, one of my favorite people. I so enjoy co-hosting with Tangela. She is the founder of Soul Search and also the creator of an amazing Ascension conference that we're all going to be participating in. Hey, Tangela.
Hi, Scott. Hi, everyone. It's so beautiful to be with everyone and feel all of your energies. And I'm just so excited about our show today and our group that we're going to be speaking about ascension. And, it's a topic that you hear more and more and more every day. And one of the reasons we put this Ascension of the Soul conference together is because really there's so many different aspects of people's awakening, enlivening, up leveling, however you want to put it. And we really wanted to have people have the opportunity to hear about ascension from so many different perspectives and really have a broader understanding of what it might mean for them and for humanity and for the world. So, I'm really excited that everyone joining us today, all of our amazing speakers, Scott, Debra, Lori, Brandon, all of you are part of our Ascension of the Soul conference. And I'm excited to just hear from everyone who's watching, their questions, their comments, your guys' takes on what we're going through right now and where we're headed.
Beautiful. And we're going to learn all about the Ascension Conference. I want to read just right off the bat. One of our guests wrote something really beautiful. Melissa writes, I feel ascension is a process for us all and Mother Earth to change our frequency and vibrations to a light vibration. We are all changing along with Mother Earth. That's a beautiful. That's it. That show's done. Melissa nailed it.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, that was really good. Well, speaking of changing our vibration, in a moment we're going to hear from Omashar, but I want to just briefly let you know who our guests are, and you're going to be hearing from all of them throughout the show. Debra Giusti is here, the co-founder of the Global Peace Tribe, is back with us. It's always great to have Debra. She and I did 90 shows together, 90 Saturday Night Lives. So those of you that have are old timers that watch Saturday Night Live, say hello to Debra in the chat box. Let her know what your favorite Saturday Night Live show was. And she does all the panels at the expos and the conferences about Ascension. So it's great to have you with us, Debra.
Thank you. Yes, it's my passion, and great to be here, Scott. And thank you for keeping the flame alive with the awakening world.
Well, we started something wonderful, and it was all spontaneous. And look at what it's grown into, including our retreat next weekend, which Debra will be at, and Sheila. In fact, all the people you're meeting today will be at our retreat. And speaking of people meeting, let me introduce you to our other guests. This is Lori Wheeler. She's been on the show a couple of times now, and really looking forward to Lori hearing what you have to say about this really interesting topic.
Thank you, Scott, for having me on tonight. And this is such a true pleasure to be here to speak with everyone and hear everybody's take on Ascension and help us grow. And Scott, especially for bringing this forward to the world, for helping us understand this in a greater way.
My pleasure. Really beautiful. When I was in Sedona, I met this amazing guy, Brandon, and everybody was like, oh my God, you got to meet Brandon. You got to meet Brandon. And yeah, he's definitely a dynamo. He puts on a lot of the really most popular events in Sedona. And Brandon, we're eager to get to know you a little bit better and learn a little bit more about what this topic means to you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be sharing and really providing some insights, hopefully, that my experiences have really provided me with my life here in Sedona. It's just been, I'd say, the wildest 7 years of my life for sure. So it's been magical, crazy, incredible. It's been everything, and it just keeps getting better. So I can't complain there. And I think that's part of Ascension, is moving into a better space. So how do we get there? I think that's the challenge we all have to face.
Well, that's what we'll be talking about tonight. So thank you for being with us, Brandon. We'll see you in a few minutes. And it's time for some music. It's time for some Omashar. And hey, brother, I cannot wait to meet you in person next week. It's going to be
I know. I have you in my dreams, but it'd be nice to actually touch your flesh. And aloha and namaste, everybody. Ascension. Here we are, ascending together, the awakening world. And here's a song. We can drop in a little deeper with this song. I had a really up-tempo song to start the show off with, but I got directed to sing this song called I Am. and it's from my Illuminate album. And so deep breath, hands on heart, let's go in there and see how deep we can go so we can fly even higher.
Thank you so much, beloved brother Omashar. You just
Yeah,
bring so much beauty to our
you're
shows.
so welcome. When we enter a show, my mind is going so fast that when I play a song which is gentle and slow, it's my mind's going hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, and I have to chill myself out to get into the song to drive it. So namaste, I am.
Well, and a reminder to everybody that we love supporting Omashar by going and buying his music. Now, you can get it on all the regular places, but we especially like to promote getting it through Bandcamp. And you just go Omashar.bandcamp.com. That's the URL. I just put it into the Zoom room, into the chat box. And he'll be back with us later on in the show. He'll be with us all weekend. We've got a whole weekend together, brother.
I know. Awesome. Thank you.
I am so grateful that I get to introduce Debra Giusti a little bit more thoroughly. I met Debra almost, way over 35 years ago. She started the Harmony Festival, which was the kickoff of summer for many of us. It was always the second weekend of June in Santa Rosa. Big festival. And she had major bands there. She had the Beach Boys and John Anderson and Jefferson Starship, and a huge goddess temple area. It was at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds, this enormous annual festival. And she was the one who put it all together for over 30 years. And it really was like Burning Man is for burners. Health and Harmony Festival was that once a year event that we all look forward to. And she continued to co-create in her many ways, really focusing on Ascension. Ascension's become a big focus for her for many, many, many years now. And as I said before, leading all the Ascension panels at the New Living Expo and the Conscious Life Expo and Your Uncle Daddy's Expo and all the different expos. She's the one leading the Ascension panels. And she has actually just written a book. And we are like the first ones to get her new book cover, some of her new Ascension tips. And really, when we decided, okay, we're going to do this show so we can, focus on Ascension, I said, well, we got to get Debra. And she usually gets up at 3:00 in the morning and meditates. So getting her on a Friday night is a big deal. So with no further ado, welcome, Debra. And thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Scott.
And let's just go right in. What does Ascension really mean, especially to you as someone who's been studying it for so long?
Well, I believe it's what we came here for. As you look around, you see the world is activated. This is an amazing time on the planet, especially right now. But also there's so many people that came in at this time, this very special activated time on the planet, because this is a very special time. And what we're talking about is an opportunity for us as soul beings to elevate and to evolve and to grow to the next level. And that is along with the planet, because the planet is going through its ascension right now. Yeah. So this has been predicted for many eons through many religions that this is a time when this activation will happen. And with what's going on in the world, with all the changes, this is definitely a part of it. Because everything that is not of the highest level that we are going to, the next higher level, has to come up and be revealed and healed. And that's as above, so below on the planet. So everything that's happening now, everything that's, especially since 2020, when everything changed and we went into kind of a massive spiritual retreat, the whole planet, everything shifted for us. And a lot is coming up to the surface over and over again, a lot of the dysfunction to be revealed and healed. And the same is true for us too. We're all going through this. And what is happening now, there's been ascension through many ages, and we know it as the Christ ascension, for example, as one being ascending to another level. But what's happening now is truly a planetary ascension. So this is the whole planet up-leveling to the next level, to the next vibration, what some people call fifth dimensional reality. And so within us, acceleration is the accelerated spiritual process that's currently taking place. It's a step-by-step process. It's initiated by awakening. Typically, people wake up on some level. They either kind of start remembering, start knowing, realizing, hey, this is the box I'm in. Isn't there something like way beyond that? Or sometimes people have radical shifts, like a near-death experience will wake them up. And that begins this path. And a lot of us have been on it for many lifetimes and accelerated right now. And it involves going through a lot of deep alchemical transformation, a lot of deep healing. One thing that's very important in the ascension process is to get into the core wounds and the core trauma and heal them. Because to operate at the next highest vibrational level, you've got to release those wounds and that healing. So that's a big part of the ascension process. Even going back to ancestral healing. Another big part of it is just raising your vibration, opening up your centers, raising up to the highest level, which is actually activating your light body. And this is learning to function at a whole nother level, which we have many, many energy bodies. And it's getting beyond just thinking we're this human suit, and we're really a multi-dimensional being, and becoming aware of that. And then another key point is activating your DNA. You know how scientists say we've got, you know, a couple strands activated, the rest is junk. Well, I think we've all come to understand that this is what happens in the ascension process, is when you start to activate these additional strands, and then abilities and insight and awareness and all that begins to activate. So that's when you start to open up to intuitive processes, to knowing that happens, to be able to communicate with other multidimensional beings like the ascended masters, the galactics, and have a life way beyond just a limited, you know, in the box matrix. And then of course, the heart is a really big part of it, because it's through the heart that is the doorway to all of this. And the fifth dimensional level is the frequency of love. The fifth dimensional level is oneness, it's unity consciousness, it's that higher vision that a lot of the religions talk about. So what we're doing is we're actually all graduating to this next level of being that a lot of our religious organizations have pointed to. And again, this is a mass planetary ascension. So as one person opens up with unified field, it helps everyone else open up. So this is working together. So this is why shows like this and all that's been happening in the last 2 years, it gathers people so we can, of like mind, support each other, teach each other, heal each other, and raise up together is really what's happening now. And this is leading to the new earth, which is what's been predicted with all the religions as well, the golden age. In many religions, you'll see that there is a new earth that we're creating. So this is a big part of the ascension process, is building the new earth as well. And in my ascension tips, which I created, and it's the first version because I have a very much in-depth one. If we look at the different stages of ascension, which I've studied with a lot of different ascension teachers, and they all pretty much say a similar thing, although everyone's ascension journey is totally different. It's your own unique journey. But there's certain stages that you go through. And so to make it really easy, I created the ascension tips, which are actually 88 tips at this point that point to 4 different stages of ascension. And it's really simple. It's like one tip. So you go, oh, I get it. That's part of my awakening. That's part of my healing. That's part of my alchemical transmutation. So you can identify what's really going on for you and empower that and understand it's part of the process. So the first part is the awakening, where you just start to wake up outside of the box of the matrix of what the limited part of what's going on. And that's kind of, and I've got 22 tips for that. The second part is really when you get into transmutation, and it's really, like I said, an alchemical process where your light body, your DNA, all of that starts to transform as you really start to go through the ascension process. And there's all kinds of ways to support that happening, which the ascension tips describe. The fourth part is embodiment, because we're not talking about ascending out of your body into some other realm. This is an embodied ascension where you're actually bringing all this into this current physical form and activating your Merkaba and your light body. So that becomes a very strong part of it. So you can work with that in accessing all the multidimensional realms. And the fourth part is what we're really going to is the divine human, where everything's activated and you're a next level of divine human in the new earth. And in this group of ascension tips, I actually got kind of downloads of what the new earth is going to be. So in the process of creating this, which inspired by spirit, that's how I do everything, I got really clear points of what the new earth is going to be like. And then I checked with a lot of different other ascension teachers just to kind of, is this what's happening here? And they would, you know, they coached me on it, and yes. So a lot of it is what a lot of ascension teachers agree on. So it's just really wonderful to have this all laid out and really simple, because life is already too complex. So these are just tips that you can just go, oh, got it. And then let your being take you on that journey of your ascension journey. Because everyone's different. It's a magical mystery tour, and your higher self is your guide.
Let's just all take a deep breath with that, huh? Wow, what an incredible download of wisdom. And as you can tell, everybody, Debra really knows this topic. So I really want to encourage people, put any questions, any specific questions you have in the chat box, and Debra and our other speakers will address your questions. And thank you, Debra. That was amazing. And of course, want to really encourage everybody to get the book. I'll put the link in to the chat box. I was just enthralled, and so I'll put the link in. But I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Tangela, to introduce. And well, let me start by asking, I'm kind of just blown away with everything Debra just said. Tangela, what stands out for you, either what Debra said or your journey of the ascension process?
Sure.
I
love
around it.
Yes. Well, I mean, I love, of course, what Debra said just about how multifaceted this journey is. And I love the fact that she's put together these tips for people just to start diving in themselves and seeing what's happening for them and where they are within this process. And I mean, for me, the ascension, you know, it's really an enlivening of who we are as humans. And I love the word Debra uses, the divine humans, because that is really, for me, what we're stepping into in this ascension process. And it's not something where we're going from, you know, it's in our linear human minds. I think it's hard for us to even comprehend what we're actually going through as we really expand our light and who we are beyond the confines of our human mind and our human body and what we've been taught. What is our human mind and our human body, and expand through this ascension process into this divine being that we truly are, our multidimensional selves, and really beginning to activate all of these gifts, abilities, connections, knowings to ourselves, to our own abilities and our own empowerment, as well as to the universe and beyond. So it is such an exciting time because I just see all of us coming together. I see our soul family and soul tribe uniting and reconnecting as we're going through this process together. And, you know, Debra and I had an amazing interview earlier this week. And for those of you who'd love to tune in, we've been actually having an interview series of all of our Ascension of the Soul conference speakers. And I'll actually put in the chat, you can watch really in-depth interviews with Scott, Debra, Brandon, Lori, and just about their personal journeys. And I think what's been so incredible to hear about everyone's personal journeys is there has been incredible ups and downs, incredible, you know, challenges that each one of us have faced as we are going through this human life together, but then coming forth and understanding that where we are now in terms of transformation and personal development is far beyond what we have been taught previously, and this is at such a multi-dimensional level, a start of us stepping into our own gifts, stepping into our own true divine nature, and stepping into our galactic and cosmic connections with the universe. So it's such an exciting time, and I just love connecting with everyone here and hosting people for us to come together and really share this exciting moments, because these are things we probably couldn't have spoken about so freely and publicly even just a few years ago.
Absolutely. And I'll do a quick flash. We'll take a look at the video a little bit later, but it's remarkable how many people you've pulled together to be part of this upcoming weekend. So next weekend is the Global Peace Tribe Retreat, and we'll talk about that later. But then the weekend after that is a free 2-day online summit with just almost every one of your favorite people that's been on the Awakening World is going to be a part of this summit, speaking live, including, of course, Debra, myself, Tangela, Brandon, Lori, all the people you've seen today, but a lot of other people that you've seen on the show. Krista Collins, Raquel Spring, Laura Quirk. I mean, it just goes on and on, all these remarkable human beings that are part of this. So great job putting this together. And we've got a lot going on this weekend. Watch us live. Next weekend, come to Sedona or watch the live streams to the Global Peace Tribe Retreat. And then the following weekend, we all connect again for the Ascension online conference.
Exactly. Thanks, Scott. And yeah, I mean, it's a free conference, and we want it to be open to everyone to come in, join us, interact, explore. As Neil, who's my partner in the conference, who was founder of Portal to Ascension, he says that this is truly an activating experience, because we have 2 days of downloads from all of these incredible speakers, really speaking about different aspects of Ascension. Raquel Spring, the astrological aspect, Melissa Fike with the quantum Akashic records, Scott talking about managing and honoring our human animal bodies during Ascension. So we have so many different perspectives that everyone will be sharing, as well as tips, tools, and practices. So it is going to be an entire activation weekend. So we really invite all of you all to come in, register, and join us for the whole weekend. And I've actually put in the chat the links to the in-depth interviews we have with our speakers. So you can really hear even more about who they are, their journeys, and and really get to know each presenter as what they've experienced, how they've come to where they are today, and really then dive in with them on their experience of Ascension during the conference weekend.
Beautiful. Well, speaking of which, that might be a good segue for you to introduce our other guests.
Sure. So I am happy to, well, I don't know who should I introduce first, Scott? Brandon?
You get to choose.
Okay, so let's just start with Brandon. And Brandon is a dear friend here in Sedona, and he has lived and worked in Sedona for over 7 years, creating Organite, which is a transformational tool of the Ascension. And I think one of the things that Debra actually touched on is that during this Ascension process, we are bringing all these technologies forth to support us in our enlivenment and in our growth. And Organite is actually one of those technologies. And it's often used for EMF radiation protection from cell phones and Wi-Fi, but so much more. I mean, Brandon can talk a little bit about it, but people have used it to calm themselves, heal, better sleeping, better mood, more energy. Thousands have had all types of benefits, even children. It's shown that children having them in the classroom also helps bring them peace and calmness. So he has this incredible company, Organites, where he handcrafts these transformational technology tools for the Ascension. And he has also authored Dancing Beyond Cancer, a Sedona Synchronicity, which is a story about Brandon's first year in Sedona. And he is the host of our favorite community activity in Sedona, which is the ecstatic dance on the rocks. And everyone who's on the call, we're going to be able to join Brandon on the Red Rocks week after next, which is going to be great. And he also has now started SedonaDances.com with his fiance Danielle as a place to find the most dance events in Sedona and also bring silent disco to your private events. So Brandon, you have such a multifaceted background and dance and organite and music and community and bringing people together. So really excited to have you here to speak about Ascension and what that means for you and what that experience is like for you.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm humbled by our last presenter, Debra. That was a beautiful sharing. I'm like the wisdom there. I'm like, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that. It was really beautiful. I'm like it, and I would have to agree with everything she said. We're raising this vibration. We're going and integrating this higher in our current paradigm and really raising our vibration and bringing in these other dimensions. And I'm finding there's a lot of tools out there that we can use to help us get there more easily. And that's something that I found Organite does, is it's a tool. It's something that we can use. I mean, I make little pocket pieces. I make giant neighborhood size ones. I'm like, I have all sorts of pieces, but it's just a metal, resin, and crystals. This has a lot less metal than I usually like. In fact, this is how most people make their Organite, with a lot of crystals, very little metal. I'm like, it works a lot better when you put more metal in it. I'm like 10 years of trying them out, testing them on people. I've yet to have anyone tell me the one with the big crystal works better. It's like, no, they pick up the one with lots of metal and they're like, wow, what's going on here? I'm like, I know, it's a tool. And that's what I found too, is these tools help us get to those higher vibrational states quicker. And truthfully, I've made what I've been told is some of the most powerful Organite out there. And I still swear by it that we are 10 times more powerful than any of this stuff, and all of it combined. It's like just one of us has such potential within us. And that's, I think, what Ascension is finding that potential that's within us. It's within all of us. We have a capacity to create synchronicities, to move into new realities that, for me to explain my life to some people, they'd look at me like, that's just coincidence. I'm like, it's far beyond coincidence at this point. I'm like, my whole life is connected from 10 years ago to now, and there's so many synchronicities along that path that I'm like, if these things didn't happen, I wouldn't be here. And these things have brought me to where I am. And without those things, I wouldn't be able to do the things I'm able to do or learn the lessons I needed to learn. It's like my book, Dancing Beyond Cancer. It's a tragic story. I mean, I met my late wife, and shortly after we met, we got married. We got married was the day she was diagnosed with cancer. But I had to grow through that and learn, because 6 months and a day after we got married, she passed. And it was through that process, though, that I learned to recognize my anger, and that I need to express that anger in a very healthy way. Otherwise, I can really hurt other people. And when you're around a cancer patient, expressing any emotion improperly is actually pretty toxic. So even the most positive emotions or happiest emotions, if you don't express it in a proper way, you can actually cause harm to somebody, even though you don't recognize it. And that's what I feel Ascension is recognizing those nuances and learning and growing and moving to higher states of awareness and saying, oh, can't do that anymore. The universe is really throwing these lessons in my face. And I think that's right now what's happening to everybody, is it's like, have you really mastered this? Have you really learned this? Well, you haven't. Here's an opportunity to learn it. And it's like right in your face. It's like, this is what you wanted to learn. Go right ahead. How'd you do? It's like, there's always room for growth. And that's what we also need to understand and have compassion for ourselves, is it's like, we're all here to grow. We're all not going to do it right the first time. I'm like, I even laugh. I'm like, I bet you Jesus messed up a lot, but he kept trying and growing, and that's what got him to where he was. It's same for everybody. It's like we're all here to learn and grow, and everyone's path is, like Debra said, is going to be different. Everyone's path to ascension is going to be different, but what tools do we use to get there is also going to be different. So that's what I find. It's like, I mean, I've been talking to people about frequency devices for a decade now, and it was actually using a pulsed electromagnetic frequency device. It was like $10,000, but I had never felt so good in my life after I used it. But then I went and did a breathing exercise called it's Ananda Mandala meditation on YouTube. It's like a 30-minute meditation of just breathing. And I felt even better than I did with this pulsed electromagnetic therapy device, but I had the same benefits. It was like, I'm like, what? I don't need to spend $10,000 on a device. I can breathe for 30 minutes. Wow, this is cool. It's like, but they're all tools. And it was like, at one point I was like here, and then I jumped to here. And now I'm like, okay, I have to do breathing exercise if I want to jump to certain levels within myself. And that's why I think you see the Wim Hof thing is blowing up these days. Right. So there's definite growth to be had in all of these tools, and there's so many tools out there. And I think that's one of the things that I like to say is find your tools and work with them.
Brandon, I love that. What has been one of your major tools that's helped you through this process the last 7 years in Sedona, from where you were, with this crisis you faced with your wife passing to where you are today? Congratulations. I know you just got engaged. So congratulations to you and Danielle, and you're bringing forth these technologies out to the world. So what has supported you? What have been some of your tools in this?
I mean, personally, my favorite tool has been dance. So, I mean, that really changed my life. I found ecstatic dance 5 or 6 years ago here in Sedona. It was a Sunday ecstatic dance. Well, now it's Sun Moon Studio, but it was like, I'm like, it's just, and they've been holding it down there ever since. And it's been a steady thing. And that's what inspired me to dance. And then I was like, okay, I have art shows on Sundays. I want to keep dancing. Let's go do Tuesdays. No one's doing anything on Tuesdays. I'm going to start doing Tuesdays dancing on the rocks. That's a perfect day for me. And it's just, and then after COVID, it turned into hundreds of people that have expressed this as their medicine, and it's brought them out of their cage, and they started expressing themselves differently. And even my fiance is like, I mean, that story gets even weirder because I tell her the story, and it's like, it's been another synchronicity, one synchronicity after another. And it's like, I'm like, wow, this is our life. We dance, we do art. She's a dance teacher as well. It's just been an amazing experience to be able to dance my way to healing and to express myself in that way. That's one of the best ways I find to just get that extra energy out. It's like, people are like, how do you dance so the way you do? And I'm like, well, I have a lot of anger inside of me, and I find if I dance that way, that gets it out. And it's like, you'd be like, what? And it's like, I'm like, yeah, maybe the happiest person ever, but I see so many problems with the world. It's hard not to be angry at it, but how do I express that anger? Well, I make orgonite, I dance, I do what I feel is live by example. And that's the only thing that I can do, and then grow from my mistakes. That's all we can all do. And yeah, dance has definitely changed my life.
And I love the fact that you mentioned dance, and Debra had mentioned how embodiment is such an important part of this ascension, because again, like Debra, I know you're a huge fan of dance too, and you have been your whole life. So what do you think? How do you feel about what Brandon is saying about dance as this ascension tool for him?
Dance is an amazing spiritual practice because it activates you at all levels: body, mind, spirit, emotion, energetics. It's really an incredible tool. And it's been a practice in all religions forever. I mean, sacred dance has been a part, because it's within that you can really access a whole nother level of your being. And it's beautiful because when you get a whole energy field of dancing, that raises everything up. So definitely and this is what raises your DNA. You know, it activates your DNA. Is when you get to those higher states, that's what activates the shift in the DNA. So the dance and the people and the love and the music and the vibration is all deep spiritual practice. So it's awesome.
So powerful, definitely. And I think that's so beautiful. Just remind people of that, because I think we can get caught up in, in some very specific, difficult, spiritual practices. And that's not to say that's not the right path for people. And everyone has their own journey, but the beauty and the joy and the love and the heart connection with dance is something so universal for all of us.
We still have another presenter that we haven't heard from yet.
Yes. Let me bring in Lori Wheeler, she's our next presenter. And I love Lori. I actually had the honor of participating in part of her retreat with her in Mount Shasta, where we did very, very powerful Syrian activations at Ascension Rock, as well as a very powerful meditative practice and activation at St. Germain's altar. And she is just an incredible transformational holistic practitioner. She is the owner of Wellness Within, and she is trained in homeopathy and soul regression hypnotherapy. She also works as an energy receptor and translator, which entails medical intuition, channeling, speaking light language, and is a shamanic practitioner. Lori works with the codes of light and sacred geometry and transmits, activates, and recalibrates dormant DNA in order to raise the soul's vibration. And, it's really powerful. We had a really powerful activation and light language experience with her at Ascension Rock. And I really had a huge shift because of that. So, it was really powerful. And, Lori's work, really what she says is she nurtures one to find and develop a more authentic self. She holds retreats. She does individual sessions. You can also listen to her channeling the interdimensionals on her YouTube channel with very profound messages for our time and for humanity. And she is the author of Oh No, Not Another Learning Experience, A Metamorphosis. So I'm really excited to have Lori Wheeler with us, and you're so multidimensional and multi-talented. And thank you for being with us today to talk about Ascension.
Thank you, Tangela, for that intro. That's beautiful. I appreciate that. And, it's just hard coming on the back end of what everybody has said, because I don't even know where to go from what everybody has said. You've covered it so beautifully and explained it in such a magnificent way. So I'm going to try and just add a little tidbit here and there to what has been said, because I don't know where to go from this point. But I'm going to say that I feel Ascension has a lot to do with, for me personally, and what I see with my clients and speaking with many people as I do conferences and expos all over the US and outside of the US. I find that we're taking our everyday life as we're accustomed to living our life in this 3-dimension and merging it into our spiritual life. And this, for me, is what really is evolving, what is ascending at this point. And it's balancing what I see, the masculine and the feminine, and how we've misconstrued what we think is masculine and feminine, or what we think is power, or what we think is helplessness, or I think we need to redefine certain thoughts that we've been using for a very long time, and refine our consciousness to the point where we take it to such a heightened degree that we will no longer need our learning experiences here on Earth. And when we transcend and evolve to that point where we won't need to be in physical form anymore. And this, having worked with many spirits on the other side across the veil, what's interesting, and I'm not sure others really understand that, but having worked with many of them, is that their learning experience begins like our learning experience, only they're doing it now in spirit form. They have to start in kindergarten and work their way up through what we call the mystery school here. And so they begin, and we have many guides that are helping us. And some are very new and very younger spirit guides, and some are our master guides who have, what I'll say, been around the block of many, many, many times, that have taken them to the point of being a master. So it is about mastery, self-mastery. And so we're learning to traverse our world right now, and recalibrate ourselves, because we know who we are. And so we've come in a form to learn through some type of woundology, how to really gain knowledge and experience this divine, magnificent soul that we are, without our illusions. So when I do regressions, whether they be to a prior time or between lives, I often hear the same expression afterwards. Is their people's favorite part, and I'm going to include myself in this, is the experience of our divine self through our higher self, which is who we are without any illusion. That's where we can experience our oneness with everything, that which we're not attached to. There's no negative feeling in that. There is just the experience that all is. And it's a bliss and a peace that I believe we are really working to attain. The experience and the level of that frequency, and how to remain in that frequency for an extended period of time, which then we are all working at using different tools to access that. So I have to say, it is very challenging each day, although some days better than others, depending on the light and the frequencies that are coming in, depending on what's going on with the collective consciousness. So each day is a learning experience as to how to bring ourselves through our woundology, through our shadow, through releasing and shedding the skin and coming into who we really are. And we get pieces and portions of it. And I don't know about anybody else, but I want to just grab that. I want to hold it. I want to just experience it for the longest amount of time that I possibly can. And then, the phone will ring, some little nonsense will go on, and boom, pulls you right out. So what do you do in that kind of a situation? Because we're all perplexed at times. And when you're right in the heat of it, how do you bring yourself back into that? So I'm going to just share a minute with what I do. And I think it's really simple and easy. For me, sound, we've been talking about dance and the expression through embodiment. And I love that. And I totally agree. There is this release and expression that we get to experience about ourselves. For me, I'm very much in sound, and sound helps me feel that expression. So I do a lot of toning, and people say, what is that? Just open your mouth and release, just like the dance. It's the similar experience. It's just releasing. And you'll notice over time, as you do it, your octaves will change. And that's an expression of what's going on with your own vibration of your frequency. So I love toning. And I've noticed many times when I've been toning that the ascended masters or interdimensionals or extraterrestrials, whomever they may be, wherever I am, they'll just gravitate to the sound and they come in. So it's an access, it's a doorway, a gateway. Also, light language for me is a great expression to bring in the light, to access that within myself, to illuminate that which may be dormant, that needs to be illuminated, to remember who we really are. And that can pull me out of negative space and bring me into my positive. So those are just two ways. And I think they're very powerful ways, actually.
Wow, Lori, I love that. And I do think those are very powerful ways and powerful experiences. And I love what you said about the toning and light language being doorways. What would you say to someone who's listening and is like, well, I've never toned before. I'm not sure about light language. That sounds great, but how do I even do this? Like, what does that mean? What would your advice be?
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of people, they're afraid, that it's not going to be right, or they can't do it. And I always say, no matter what you're doing, there's no wrong to this. This is just an expression of what's going on inside. So just sit, close your eyes, breathe a couple moments in and out, and then just open your mouth. Okay. So I'm going to just do a little. Okay. So everybody feels comfortable with it. So it's just like this. And as you do it, you'll be able to do it longer, and it will adjust, and you'll feel the energy begins to change inside of you. You are just connecting with frequency that matches that as it moves. You're going to feel the difference automatically within a few moments. So it's not difficult at all, not to be afraid at all.
That is great. And that is just an immediate shift in vibration that all of us can suddenly experience and suddenly start feeling, which is what the Ascension is all about. This is shifting our vibration, expanding our vibration. And I know you have so many experiences and connections with interdimensionals, extraterrestrials, ascended masters. That's so much a part of your work and what you do and bring forth. What do some of them have to say about the Ascension? Do they have a role? Are they part of this process with us?
Well, I believe that as we're shifting and Mother Earth is shifting, so too are other systems shifting, or they're given the opportunity to shift. And I will just come back that, yes, we're part of a grand plan. For thousands of years, this has been set in motion. There has been a time where the weight of a feather could move this either way, according to the consciousness of humankind, according to what I hear from the Arcturians. So many of them, are here to help us. Obviously, we know that. And I am told that we are doing well, but that we are going through some real challenges. And I understand that it's interesting, the take on each one that comes in, and I work with many of them. But I have one, what I call my go-to, who always speaks to me. I channel every day, and I do a lot of journaling of what is said. And it gives me a lot of insight as to what's happening, sort of in a consistent basis, and also long-term projection of what we may be going through, which I offer through the monthly insights on the YouTube. But so right now, we are going to be going through some really hefty challenges in these upcoming months. But this is what we're going through. It's a polarity. So as humankind, we need polarity. We need the negative to push us in toward the positive, toward the light. Because if we didn't, we're basically what I want to say, or what I've been told, we're kind of lazy. We just sit back in the comfort zone, although this isn't really all that comfortable, right? But that we need this to help us move, to create this vibration that will help us move. But we are doing well with it. There is enough light to help us propel and move us through. There are more people that will be leaving the earth because they're not either capable or they're finished at their degree of learning. So there will be more leaving. There's a lot of people that will be moving around for a while. They don't even know why they're moving. They're just having a sense to move around. And this has a lot to do with what's upcoming. But I'm told that we're doing very well as a human race. And that, again, we have a lot of help. And it is really important for us to ask for the help. We can't forget to ask. Two things that are most important right now in our daily lives is to get our health in order, to get our physical health. And that means working through our woundology. If it's become a chronic issue in some physical way, we need to take care of our physical health. And two, to build a real strong relationship with our higher self, because all the information comes through our higher self. And we forget, but I want to say it's like my best bud, my high self, because that's where all the information comes. And that's that's where we can go to trust, where we're looking for direction, how to navigate our world. That's where our information will come from. And just as a note, back to the toning for a second. So this is not just for adults, but I've taught this to children too. And they have so much fun because they can get a little goofy with it. But all in all, it's a great vibe and it's a great release and it's a great access. And so they may not even know what they're doing, but we're teaching them at a young age how to just do this as an automatic thing. So I just wanted to share that thought.
Really appreciating what everybody has to share. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Lori. We'll hear from them one more time. I want to actually go back to Debra for a moment because there's a question that came up in the chat box and she addressed it in the chat box, but for all the people watching on Facebook, it was a question about some of the new technologies, such as med beds. And it happens to be something that Debra is she's always on top of the cutting edge. So I'd love for you to share for the people watching on Facebook about that, Debra.
Sure. There are going to be a lot of positive technologies coming in to support. And I want to counter that as compared to the negative transhuman agenda technologies, which take over the being and kind of, go right into the being. And what I'm talking about is the new healing technologies. And I've encountered one personally that I'm going to be supporting and bringing forward called EE Systems. It's Energy Enhancement Systems, created by Dr. Sandra Rose Michael. She's a brilliant scientist, had this vision when she was very young. Her parents were NASA scientists, and she came up with this technology just from her scientific discoveries using scalar wave, and actually accessed higher dimensional beings, some ascended masters, to bring through the codes to put it all together, and has been distributing it for many years. Before this, it was more underground because she would have been offed, like a lot of people have been when they bring this through. And now she's been told it's time to get these healing technologies out. So she's in a massive campaign to get these healing technologies and healing centers all over the nation. And so I'm going to be setting up a healing center where I'm at in Sonoma County and Marin County. And I have experienced it. And it's a very deep scalar wave technology that goes into the DNA and helps, the way she explains it in very lay terms, eliminates the dysfunction, the distortion. So the DNA goes back to its original divine blueprint, and then the body can self-heal. And for me, this is an amazing ascension tool because so much of us, so many people have been damaged by pollutions, all the different pollutions, the EMF, the stress, other things that have recently come into our world that may not be very good for us, and all kinds of other things. So for me, this is a really important ascension tool to get us back to a divine healthy state so we can really activate to these whole new levels. So you'll be seeing that, and I'm sure many, many others are going to come through now, because all these things are being able to come through now instead of being suppressed and healed. Even though it looks like that's still happening, there's so much more happening behind the scenes that is coming forward positively. So it's really amazing. And that's, if you want to look it up, it's EE System. And you can watch some .com. You can watch some videos there. There is a system in Sedona where we're going to be. There's a whole center there with the EE systems as well.
Oh, well, definitely we'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
So there was a question about our animal friends. So I woke up Jasmine Bear. She was sleeping. She sleeps on my Friday night show. But Tarina asked a really wonderful question, and I know that Debra addressed it in the chat box, but again, I want to address it for our friends watching on Facebook. And it's about how will Ascension apply to our animals and other sentient beings. I mean, obviously, she knows more about love than any of the rest of us. So I'm learning from her. But what's the story about that, Debra?
Yeah, a couple things. Definitely animals are on the ascension path. And I think we know that because if we connect deeply with our animal friends, they are like evolving to the next level totally. And on many levels, they're way beyond us on so many levels. But one thing that's really interesting is I was writing the ascension tips and I wanted to make sure I really addressed everything, especially in the new earth. Part of what bothers me is on planet Earth, this process in nature where one animal kills violently another animal for sustenance. And that just doesn't seem right on the higher levels. So I was been asking the high level ascension teachers, is that really going to go on again? And they told me, and again, just take whatever you want with it. No, because this is in polarity. We are in a very dense, polarized 3D reality. And this is how it functions here. In the higher dimensional levels, in the 5th and 6th and beyond to the many other dimensions, that kind of need and that kind of dynamic doesn't happen. And nature and beings and animals function a whole other way. So we will not have that kind of violence in nature. It will be love. Love is the bottom line for the 5th dimensional levels. So that's how we're all going to exist. And in terms of the new earth, I'd like to mention a few things that have come up from the new earth, Scott, if I can do that.
Sure.
It's really exciting to me. People are going to be in this awakened state at all times. That's going to be our awakened state, the Christ consciousness, the oneness consciousness. That's how we're going to exist. And our bodies are going to be much lighter. We're not going to have this dense body, but we're going to be utilizing our energy body. And we will have all our memories there, all our memories from past lives. You know how we come in pretty dumb, not knowing who we are, where we've come from, you know, and we're getting glimpses now and we're starting to pull things in, and this will come in more and more. But in the new earth, you have all the memories, you have all the understanding, so you can use all that knowledge. In this current world, we're kind of bringing them in here and there as we remember past lives, or we go to sacred centers and we download certain information for that. And what I've been told too is we can instantly manifest. And we've kind of been practicing now, because as we're going, the process of manifestation is a pretty important tool in terms of the ascension process. And that's where you really have to be careful what you're thinking and what you're wanting to manifest, because you will get it. So I've heard it's, and of course, we'll be communicating telepathically. It's not this kind of word thing. We'll be able to know, which a lot of us are starting to develop now. And money's not going to be around. You know, our survival needs are going to be at a whole different level. So we won't be using money in the way that we do now, and the way that it's held hostage over a lot of people's lives. And because of that, there's going to be this incredible renaissance, kind of like Renaissance happened here, of the arts, of the creativity. People will be able to do what they love and what their mission is and what their gift is. And that will be more of the focus than having to punch a clock to make something to pay for the 1% or whatever it is. And again, love, compassion, peace, and all those higher vibrations are going to be a part of it. And I've been told that this golden age is going to last for a while, and then the earth kind of cycles again. But and we will, if you're, and people will live a lot longer. You're going to be able to self-regenerate. You're not going to, just pass on and die from a disease. It'll be self-regenerating and lots more. So you can download the Ascension tips. My new version is not quite there yet. What you'll get is the previous version, but if you download it now, you'll be on the e-list. And as soon as it comes out, which is like next week is kind of the first version, you'll get that. And it's version 2.1 because it's going to evolve to another level too, because it's just, all this is coming through. And I just love my mission of making it really clear to people so then they can take what they want from it. Meg Benedicte is one of my top Ascension teachers. So she's one of my coaches with this. So I get the downloads, but then I pass things through her. And she goes, yep, that's right. So that's kind of how this has been created. I've been working with her for the last 10 years and I really appreciate her.
Well, thank you so much for the incredible work you've done. And I just hope everybody caught, it's a free download, everybody. It's free.
It's ascensionnow.org. Ascensionnow.org.
It's in the chat box, of course. And for anybody watching on Facebook, ascensionnow.org. Debra, thank you so much. I will see you next week in Sedona. Really appreciate it. We're going to go to all of our other presenters one more time so we can learn a little bit more about them. But, I wanted to riff on a couple of things that were said. One of the things that I really appreciate and that I teach a lot as a relationship coach is that biologists have proven, they've studied, that the human species is evolving. And we're moving from survival consciousness, reptile brain running the show, into frontal lobe consciousness. And more and more, as we are no longer, experiencing war and survival, our brains are changing. And we really are truly moving from that kind of reptile brain reactivity into frontal lobe responsiveness. And that's what's happening. It's the evolution that's happening. So that's pretty exciting. And also, Debra talked about how we will all be living in fifth dimension or golden age. And now more and more people are at that place. And that's why Debra and I are both very excited about the twin ray. Tangela has met the twin ray and gotten to know them now. We've spent a lot of time with them and they are always in a state of generosity, kindness, love. And yet they're a couple, they're productive, they get a hell of a lot done. And so they are a wonderful example of our future. They really are. And that's why I have them on the show as much as I can. They'll be on again in November. We're going to do a special with Debra on with them. So anyway, it's a big part of the awakening world. And I'm going to bring my co-host back on, Tangela. There you are. Can you believe we only actually have about 15, 20 minutes left? We're kind of wrapping up. So I'd like to take a moment before we go back to Brandon and Lori and Debra for one last time. I want to show this video that talks about your upcoming Ascension event.
What are your gifts? What do you desire for yourself? What do you envision for the entire planet? Immerse yourself into the Ascension of the Soul online 2-day conference. Explore your soul's purpose and experience deep connection to all that you are. A collaboration of luminaries here to support you in understanding and remembering your true potential. Brought to you by Soul Search and Portal to Ascension. Now is the time to awaken to our soul's gifts and abilities. Join us.
I'm going to pause it for a moment and move this bar, because a great way to immediately register is just take your camera and go to that Q code, get your trusted cell phone, go to camera, there it is. And then you can click and register. It's free, everybody. It's free. 25 Ascension experts. Imagine 2 days of really dropping in and learning from Brandon and Debra and Lori and Tangela and myself and 20 others. So it's incredible what you've put together, Tangela.
Thanks so much, Scott. And, I'm just so excited, like, as you guys who are watching now, like you just listening to Debra, Lori, Brandon, the different aspects of Ascension, getting to hear practices that work for each person and that can be shared with others. That's what this process is about. How are we moving forth into this oneness, into this unity consciousness together? And we actually have so much support available to us. And I think that's what we really wanted to bring forth through Soul Searching Portal to Ascension, is to let people know that we have so many guides, teachers, healers, practitioners that are here to support and have practices that they can offer, and that have also been through this themselves. No one, what I've loved with the interviews is none of our speakers is like, oh, I'm just an angel here on earth, and I'm ascended. Everyone has been speaking about their own personal journey, and one that continues. Just like Lori was saying, she's like, I love being in that high frequency. I get that phone call or something happens. How do we bring ourselves back? And so, I think what we'll be hearing throughout this conference is so many different perspectives. Deva Vidya talking about the dark night of the soul and ascension symptoms. India Prema talking about shadow play and shadow work. So many different aspects of this process that we're all going through together. That is our awakening. That is our enlivening. And, and we're just not alone. And so we're here together, and that's what this conference is about, so that we can all share this experience, hear from people who can provide us support through the conference, but also then if we want to move forward through retreats, through courses, through one-on-one sessions. There's so much out there for all of us. Each one of us has our own coaches and guides and healers that we work with. And, Scott, everyone, we're also excited about attending your first Global Peace Tribe retreat here in Sedona next week, which is another amazing example of, us being able to now come together to share our energies and to support one another in this ascension process. And we're going to continue doing that, through this conference. And obviously that's what you do through this show every weekend.
I have a question for you, Brandon. This is actually from Melissa, and she asks, what can happen with people that have titanium in their body? She's had back surgery and wonders what will happen with people with surgeries who have metal in their bodies. And so I don't know if that's something you feel comfortable addressing, Brandon, but I kind of thought of you for that.
Yeah, I definitely feel comfortable at least offering what I've learned in my experience with Organite. In fact, my dad had I think a metal rod in his leg. And it's kind of one of those things where I feel the metal naturally collects and reflects EMF frequencies. So if you're around a lot of good frequencies, I wouldn't think it would be that toxic to our bodies. In fact, all the Organite people right now are talking as titanium's the new thing and use more titanium, and everyone's really excited about titanium right now. And I'm like, okay, cool. So with regards to that, there seems to be a good vibration along with that, but it's like if you're around a bunch of cell towers and Wi-Fi routers, I feel it could almost be like a little microwave going on inside of you and enhancing that. But if you're putting the good frequencies back into the body, it'll offset that stress. So there are ways of battling that, and that it's not gonna, I feel that nothing's permanent to the point where you're just, you can't do anything about it. It's like, no, there's solutions. And I definitely feel these frequency devices are probably a really good thing to have around if you do have metal in your body.
Mm-hmm. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. And while I've got you, here is your website.
Mm-hmm.
I've put in the chat box. I'll put in the chat box again. Oregon Knights, spelt like Knights of the Round Table, Knights. And tell us, I love this, the crusade about 5G and really managing it. Tell us a little bit more about how this can really support us to not be so harmed by the ever increasing 5G.
Well, I definitely find it's adding the good frequencies back in is really what it's about. And even the newer technologies, pulsed electromagnetic therapy devices, are all putting just good frequencies out. I've yet to find very many devices other than actually building your own Faraday cage that are blocking EMF radiation. They're really all just adding the good frequencies back in, which seems to offset the stress from our devices. So there's a lot of science showing that even if we're around some of these things, that if you get the good frequencies, you don't see the same problems that people that don't receive the good frequencies are experiencing. And that's definitely been one of the things that I've focused on, is producing the best quality product for an affordable rate. I mean, I could put gold flakes in it and expensive pieces of silver, but I've not found people tell me, oh, the one with gold plating in here's been better, or the one with gold plated wire is working better. It's like, no, the one with more metal works better. The one with cheap, inexpensive, recycled metal works better. And with 50 crystals in it, it works even better. So all you have to do is smash up 50 crystals and go get scrap metal from, honestly, the Ace Hardware is some of the best metal I've used, because it's so fine from the key shaving place. They'll give it to you for free if you ask them. So you can make very effective orgonite for very inexpensive if you know where to go get cheap scrap metal. So, yeah.
All right. Well, come to Sedona and go to Ace Hardware with Brandon.
Yeah. I'm there every week.
Hey, and again, a reminder, Brandon and Tangela and Debra and Lori, and we're going to go to Lori in a moment, all are going to be with us in Sedona. And so there's still time. I had 3 people today at the last minute decide, all right, Scott, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come. So it's one of those things, you can still come. There are people driving, flying. We're arranging shuttles. Come join us for the very first Global Peace Tribe Retreat. It'll start next Friday morning, and it's all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, all day Monday. And we're going to be going to the Psychic Fair on Saturday. We're going to be going to the music festival that Tangela's put on Sunday. We've got other things just for us. The Wild Mystic Monastery Abbot, Jerry Anderson, you've seen him on the show. He's coming all the way in to take us to a rare cave that very few people know about up in the Magic Hills of Sedona. He lived in Sedona for 20 years, and so he knows about this place. He's going to take us to. And we're going to, of course, have private time with Omashar and your favorite presenters. So it's going to be a really, really magical and special time. Join us. I will again put in the information, or just go to gptsedonaretreat.com. Again, I'll flash the poster, gptsedonaretreat.com. And in that photo, by the way, talk about the Twin Ray, that's Tangela and I with their brand new products that we've been taking when we were at the Haven with them. When was that? A couple months ago already. Time flies. So join us for the retreat. And speaking of retreats, Lori Wheeler will be there in Sedona with us. She will then be part of the following weekend online retreat. And then you have your own retreats, Lori. Tell us about some of the places and things you've got coming up.
So I'm still finalizing all of the details, but I have a few retreats coming up in the next year to a year and a half. We'll be doing a retreat to Egypt, as I've been receiving a lot of information from the Egyptian deities. And they're asking to bring a group of people, and it will be with Jorge Luis Delgado. So we're sharing this together and looking forward to doing some webinars around it also. Also doing, and that's it, probably March of 2024. That'll give people time to save and get ready for that. Also doing a retreat in Glastonbury after the expo that will be in August of next year. And so really looking forward to that too. And then I believe that we'll be doing a dolphin quest in Hawaii in this upcoming 2023, and possibly a retreat to Blind Frog Ranch, which is next to Skinwalker Ranch. A good friend of mine is the owner of that, Dwayne Ollinger, and he has said, please bring people because there's so much paranormal activity. I've been there many times, and we have spoken to many extraterrestrials and had great experiences with some of them. So I'd love to share that with folks too. So that's coming up.
Wow. Well, I want to come to all of them. I love Glastonbury. It's one of my absolute favorite places on the planet. It is such a magical place, and I always like to go around that time because it's crop circle season. So you can, then go to the crop circles, which is really an amazing experience. So I just might be asking you. We'll definitely have you on some shows. While you're in Sedona next weekend, I want to talk to you more about Glastonbury. I'd love to make that a global peace tribe event. Bring Omashar back to his roots. In fact, speaking of Omashar, there he is. Omashar, what do you think? Next,
I think it's going to be an amazing retreat. We'll be able to have a concert up at the Tor and look over Avalon. It's one of my favorite places on the planet, and I have many. But I've been there twice in the last year. My mum still hangs out in England, and so I go and visit her. And when I need a break from that, I go down to Glastonbury, get some fish and chips, and maybe a Guinness, and sit up at the Tor and meet some really wacky, beautiful people, but who talk consciously, and so.
And just a reminder that her website, she doesn't have the information about the retreats up yet, but just to save it, her website, or at least give her your email address so that you can get, informed about her upcoming retreats. And you go to wellnesswithin.net, wellnesswithin.net. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to bring all of our presenters up for one last moment just so we can see them and give some love, thanks, and appreciation. And as Omashar plays our closing song for the evening, last chance for comments and thoughts into the chat box. Debra, Tangela, Lori. Oh, where's Brandon? There he is. I forgot to put him up here. There he is.
Bye. No, you're good.
Thank you for your incredible work. I can't wait for us all to be together in person next week, next Friday. And thank you. Really appreciate your wisdom and who each of you are.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
to all of you guys for joining. We're so excited to see you all next weekend live and in person in Sedona for the Global Peace Tribe Retreat, and also for our upcoming Super Conscious Music Festival. And, it's going to be a great time for all of us to ascend together through music and dance. And that's going to be really wonderful too. So I'm so excited for all of our retreat participants who are going to be there together with us to move and groove for the retreat coming up, for the Super Conscious Music Fest coming up. We actually have moved the venue to but it is happening on Sunday, October 23rd, starting at noon, from noon to 5 p.m. So for those of you who are in Sedona who are watching, we're excited to see you guys there.
Fantastic.
He moved to Fajols.
Yes.
Make sure you give me, if there's a new poster, make sure you send me the new poster.
Yes, I'll send that to you right away, Scott.
All right. He is the Alpha and Omega man. All things begin and end with Omashar.
That's right. And I actually write all my songs in a grain of rice. So I've been traveling around the world sharing my Ascension Divine Conscious songs forever. And this song, I've never played it live. Tomorrow night, I'm going to play a brand new song live, debuted on The Awakening World. But this song is called Crossing Over. And it's got a backing track, and it's got this outrageous rock guitar in the middle. I used to play in pop bands in New Zealand. And the music I play now, I call metaphysical pop music because it needed a label, so I gave it one. And this one is about the journey that we're on, about coming in touch with our emotional baggage and stripping it off, and clearing out the chalice of emotion. And so I'm going to play it. You need to stand up and rock. I wish Eleanor was here. And you can do some air guitar in the middle. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do at that bit, but who cares? We're family.
Jeff Colebrook is here. So Jeffrey, we're counting on you, buddy.
Good. So here we go.
Wow.
I've seen too much to deny anymore. I'm finding out where I'm hurting. The journey now is liberating, breaking down walls inside me. Now the door within my heart is open. Another aspect of me changes into light, clearing out the chalice of emotion. The sword of Michael keeps me free from worldly blight. As I climb aboard this ship of wonders, beauty abounds in my life. I've seen it all through my own eyes. Heaven and earth, all merging. Now the door within my heart is open. Another aspect of me changes into light, clearing out the chalice of emotion. The sword of Michael keeps me free from worldly blight. And I know that I am crossing over, letting go of all that keeps me from my birth, taking steps into my highest journey. Joined together we will create heaven. Changes into light, clearing up the chalice of emotion. The sword of Michael keeps me free from worldly blight. And I know that I am crossing over, letting go of all that keeps me from my birth, taking steps into my highest journey. Joined together we will create heaven.
Wow. That is a rockin'. I love that.
It is. Get out of my little private Idaho here. Yeah, it's from my Flower of Life album, and it actually won a New Age Retailer Award for the best New Age album of the year. And it's interesting that I've never played it, and today just came and Spirit said, play it today. And I hadn't rehearsed it forever, so probably 3 hours today I was getting it together, so it sounded reasonable through Zoom. So thank you for being the witness.
Sounded fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And Tangela, we're going to get more Omushar tomorrow on The Awakening World when we are collaborating with Steve Farrell and his humanities team. And we also have Sean Galloway joining us playing music. Sean's coming back. Debra, you remember him from Saturday Night Live. And a wonderful band, Mystical Joyride, coming on for the third or fourth time now with The Awakening World. And they are also awesome. So we've got great presenters all about birthing a new world, which is another way of talking about ascension. And then on Sunday, all about our spiritual influences. Reverend Michael Beckwith sharing all about his early LSD experiences. That's kind of a rare thing that he shares publicly. And also about his spiritual influences, way above and beyond the drugs, by the way. Reverend Temple Hayes is going to be with us, and my good buddy Jonathan Robinson celebrating his birthday on the Sacred Sunday Show. Jonathan's a best-selling author, and he's got a podcast series where he's interviewed over 100 leaders of ascension and spiritual awakening. So that's this weekend. And then next weekend, we will be live streaming the majority of the retreat. So get ready for 4 days. If you have not registered yet, you do need to register to, because it won't be broadcast on Facebook. We'll only be live streaming to our Zoom family, the retreat. So definitely, if you haven't registered yet, go to globalpeacetribe.com, register, because we're going to have 4 days of amazing things happening. Tangela, I love co-hosting with you. Omushar, thank you so much for your beautiful music. Debra, Giusti, great to have you back with us. Brandon, Lori, thank you. Good to get to know you a little bit better. We will all be together next Friday. Take care, everybody. Much love. And we'll hopefully see you over the weekend.
Lots of love. Thank you so much.
Much.